2025, cold emails will be harder than ever to get results with, and you might not even be ready for it. You could go from booking 10 calls a month, 1 month, to barely booking any at all unless you follow the 3-step outbound blueprint that I'm going to show you in this video. This blueprint has allowed us to generate hundreds of thousands of dollars for our clients and booked us over 1,000 meetings over the past 2 years. So let's get right into the blueprint so that you can still get results with cold email in 2025. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my 3-step outbound blueprint for a cold email in 2025. What I want to preface this is by saying that cold email has changed a lot over the past year, past 2 years, and it's always changing, even month to month, day to day, and so on and so forth, right? So you need to be on top of everything and make sure that you are on top of all the news, the trends, the softwares, so that you don't get left behind and not get any results, right? Because like I said, 1 month you can go from booking 10 calls a month, then all of a sudden something goes wrong. There's a Google update, there's a Microsoft update, and you book like none, right? So this video will help you guide through how to tackle cold email 2025, some of my predictions as well, and how to best approach cold email when how to best use cold email in the year of 2025 alone. But with cold email, there's two major problems that I want to bring to your light. And there's obviously other stuff going around, but these two are the two biggest things that are probably going to hinder your performance in 2025. The first is that Google and Microsoft just don't like mass cold emails, right? So you have to think of it like this. If you were Google or Microsoft and there was two types of customers you had. One type of customer just uses your software, which is Gmail or Outlook, day to day, just sends a few emails, replies here and there, and just goes about their day. There's another type of customer which sends out a lot of emails to your other customer, and your other customer receives it, and they're like, damn, like I always get spam emails on Gmail, or damn, I always get spam Gmails on Outlook. Inherently, that other customer, they're going to not like your platform because when they log on, they get sent cold emails, right? So inherently, Google and Microsoft, they just don't like mass cold emails. So what they're going to do, and what they've continued to do, is they've made the spam filter harder and stricter, and make it so that, a few things here and there, your email goes immediately to spam. Anything that makes it seem like an automated email or a mass email, they're going to spam, right? They're making the spam filter basically easier to catch all these emails and stricter and harder, right? So that's the first problem. The second problem is that tools like Smartlead and Instantly have made cold emails extremely easy to get into. So you see, before 2022, before Instantly specifically, you had to buy like every software basically. They made it so that every email account you had to pay for, right? Whereas in Smartly and Instantly now, you don't pay for every email account that you upload. If you did, then people like cold emailers like us might be screwed because we have like 500, 600, 1,000 plus accounts sometimes. But back then, you had to pay for every email account. You had to pay for warm up. But now, with Instantly and Smartly, you can now have unlimited warm-ups, unlimited email accounts, and not even that, they'll actually set up the email accounts for you. You can just buy domains and email accounts from these platforms themselves. So they've made it super easy to get into. Anybody can get into cold email. Anybody can buy accounts. Anybody can just run scripts off of Apollo. So what I'm trying to say here with this is that the barrier to entry is super low. So there's a lot of people sending out cold emails. And the second struggle that you're going to run into besides the spam filter is, okay, even if your inbox or even if your message lands in the inbox, how do I differentiate it versus every other message that they get that day, right? How is your cold email different versus everybody else that's cold emailing them? So that's the two main things with cold email right now. The spam filter is getting stricter, and how do you stand out amongst all the other competitors, right? Don't worry, my friend. And I kind of say it here. Don't worry, my friend. This is the video for you because I'll teach you exactly this. I'll teach you how you can stand out from all these other messages in inboxes and the different spam policies and how to avoid all that, right? So this is the outbound blueprint for 2025, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get right into it. The first step is, of course, how do you actually land in the inbox? Well, we're going to first talk about the copy, right? So with the copy, You're going to want to keep it less than 75 words. No links or images in the copy itself. Don't use spam words like buy now, 100% free, money back guarantee, and make the sequences shorter. So just 2 follow-ups max. So I'll go through step by step why all these are important. So with the copy, obviously, since you're a stranger and you're sending out cold emails, if you email somebody like a whole 200-word MLA format Harvard essay, they're sending that stuff straight to spam, bro. Like, they're not gonna read that shit. I'm sorry, excuse my French, but they're not gonna read that shit. And if you keep it, if you keep it short and conversational and friendly, they'll at least engage with it. They'll be like, I mean, at least he kept it really short and easy to read, right? So keep your copy less than 75 words, 75 words or more, or less. Second thing, no links or images. If you send any type of link or image or anything like that, Microsoft is going to think you are a spammer. And what I want you to do, if you want to actually try this experiment, is go open up your Gmail or Outlook, whatever you use, go through your spam filter and look at how many of those emails actually have a link or an image. Probably most of them have a link at least, right? So the same thing here. Just don't use links. It's not good for you. Don't use spam words, obviously, because if you use words like money back guarantee, and again, you can check all of this stuff, or at least these two right here, or the first 3, in your spam filter, because you can go through your spam filter and you can see, okay, how many words is this email? Oh, 150. How many is this one? Oh, 200. No wonder why it's in the spam filter. Does this email have a link or image? Oh, it does. Well, that's why in the spam filter. Does this email have a 100% money back guarantee or 100% free buy now? Yeah, it does. That's why it's in the spam filter. You can check this right now with your own emails. But anyway, don't use spam words. Don't use free. You can use free sparingly. I've used free before, but don't use like 100% buy now guarantee. Don't use anything like money back guarantee, that type of thing. Don't use spam words. And luckily for you, SmartLead has a feature right before you send it out where it'll check if you have any spam words in your copy. You can just go through that. And finally, keep your sequences shorter, right? So if you're back in the day, you used to get away with like 4 or 5 sequences. So like your whole cold email sequence could be 5 emails, right? Now I'm only sending out 2, sometimes even 3 total. But only 2 follow-ups. Sometimes I'm even doing one follow-up only. And the reason for this is because you have to think of it like this: if the spam filters are getting stricter, and you're out here sending out 2, 3, 4, 5 messages, and they haven't responded yet, the person on the other side that you're sending to, they're gonna mark you as spam. So only make your sequences 2. Make it 3 total emails, 2 follow-ups. That's it, max. Don't do anything more than that, right? So that's it with the copy. Now for the domains and email health, because again, this relates to spam. Obviously, the biggest step, if you're not doing this, what are you doing? Verify your leads, right? Only about 50 to 60% of the leads that you pull from Apollo are valid. So obviously, you're gonna need to verify your leads. Don't just send it out just cause, right? This is easy step. Just use dbounce. Just use mailing verifier. Don't take the risk on your domains. And then also diversify your, infrastructure, right? So every few months or so, right now Google is king, but every few months or so, it switches from Google to Outlook, back to Google, back to Outlook. So it's best if you're on all grids, if you have everything, and if one goes to shit, you can go switch to the other one, right? Right now, this is the split that we're running: 80% Google, 10% Outlook, 10% SMTP, and you can play around with these numbers, but the main consensus that I want you to come to here is make it majority Google, like over 60%, maybe 60, 70% at least. And then the other 2 can just be half and half, whatever, right? So diversify your pool, be on all grids. That way, if one sending platform or if one ESP provider, sending provider goes down or goes to shit, you can switch to another one. And then also send 15 to 20 messages per day per inbox. You obviously don't want to be sending 100 messages a day, because think about it. If you're Google or Microsoft and you see this guy send out 45 messages in one day from one email account, does that look or sound human? No, it doesn't, right? So, not doesn't sound human. Does that look like a human? Like, would you personally send out over like 50, 60, 70 messages a day on one email account? Probably not, right? So don't send out that many. Even 15 to 20 is probably pushing it, but 15 to 20-ish is what we found to be the best per inbox. And finally, have extra domains or accounts not sending and warming up instead. So I included this just as a backup in case, right? So for example, if you have, let's say, uh, 20 domains, two email accounts each, so 40 email accounts, only use like 25 or 30 of them and keep the other 10 or 15 in the background warming up just in case anything does go bad, because it can go bad. Sometimes Microsoft will have an update. Sometimes the leads that you sent to won't be that good, depending on where you got it from. Sometimes, just randomly your copy is bad and then your emails go to spam. It does and it can and will happen to you. So just make sure you have backup email accounts, so that way you don't have to buy new accounts and then wait 2 weeks before warming up and then sending again. And you can always have a consistent flow of email accounts sending every single day, right? So that's pretty much it for the domains health perspective, right? Now, when it comes to actually standing out in the inbox, this is mainly going to be focused on copywriting and the offer, and I'll go over everything here, right? So in terms of copy, make sure that you have relevant messaging, you're targeting the right people and the offer is relevant to them, and a 7th grade reading level and sound human. And I'll get into all this, what this all means. But with the relevance, right? So this can happen a lot where if you, let's say you email a small business owner, right? And you say, hey, we can, but in the copy itself, you say something like, hey, we can make it a leading software SaaS for, we can make it a leading SaaS for billing, right? That small business owner is going to read it and he's going to be like, what? This is not me, bro. This is not me at all. And the first email sequence, they might just pass it off and be like, okay, this is a one-time thing. But if you keep emailing them, aka you keep following up with them, then they're going to mark you as spam, right? So you have to make sure your messaging is super relevant to who they are, what industry they are, what job title they are, and what they do, right? If you're emailing, like I said, like if you're emailing construction companies and you talk about how you help nail salons get more bookings, they're going to be like, what the hell is this email? Like, this is not related to me at all. And they're going to mark you as spam, right? So make sure that your copy is relevant to them and who they are, right? Because if it's not, then you're going straight to the spam filter, right? And then also make your copy sound in like a 7th grade reading level and sound human. So 7th grade reading level, because the average reading level of American is 7th grade. I recommend even going lower. I recommend like 6th or 5th grade. So if you can sound like everybody else, like the majority, then you can speak to the majority, right? Whereas if you sound like a PhD level, you'll only be able to speak to the PhD level people. And even then, they might not even like it because they see it day to day. And they're so used to the PhD level talk that if you come in there and you email them like a 7th grader, they'll be interested because it's a pattern interrupt to them. They don't usually see this type of stuff, right? So make sure it's a 7th grade reading level. And then the last thing I can tell you, and I know this sounds so obvious, but sound human. You have to think like if you're, depending on your industry, they get probably 5 to 10 cold emails every single day about some random stuff, right? So every single person that cold emails them, 9 times out of 10, they're horrible. Like most cold emails are bad. And again, you can check this out on your own self. Open up your email app and go through some cold emails that you might have gotten and ask yourself, why didn't I reply to this guy? And then the answer you'll ultimately come up to was that either the targeting was off or it's just bad. It's a bad cold email, right? So if you can sound human, like you sound like an actual person wrote it, and sound conversational and sound like an actual human, they'll appreciate it more and they'll reply to you, because every single day they're inundated with all these different cold email stuff. Every single day they're getting sent cold emails that sound like a robot, that sound like automated. But if you can come in there and you sound like an actual human, they'll appreciate that and they'll actually reply to you, right? So that's it with copy. And as for actually standing out more, you want to be able to say things that other people can't using AI. And this is kind of related to the second point, which is personalization with Clay, right? If you can scrape someone's LinkedIn and talk about how, hey, I saw your recent post about this, this, and this. I really like that. Or you could say like, hey, I saw the review that customer left on your website. Or you could say something like, hey, it looks like your competitor is this guy. Or, hey, I saw that, your company recently got funded. Whatever it may be. The biggest thing to actually standing out is obviously have a good offer, but besides that, just say stuff that other people can't and using AI, right? I think I got this framework from Eric Nowslowski. If you know who that is, fantastic guy to learn clay from. He's the clay wizard. But basically, he says something along the lines of, how can we make our emails, how can we, how do you say? He said, how can we say something in our emails that other people can't using AI, right? So if you can go in there, add a few clay integrations, talk about, get really specific on what their business does or who they are or their LinkedIn or whatever it may be, you will stand out because nobody else is taking the time out of their day to actually do this stuff. Now, obviously, if it's an actual cold email, you want to do research on them. If it's like a manual cold email you're sending out, like a one-on-one, you want to do their manual cold email. You'd want to do research on them and make sure that your facts are straight. But obviously, when you have a lead list of 3,000 people, that takes up a lot of time. So the other way to do this is by using something like Clay, and you come in there and you add some type of personalized touch, or you add some relevancy or whatever it may be. The other thing is use other data sources besides just Apollo. Apollo's data is okay, it's decent, it's nothing crazy. A lot of people shit on Apollo, but I think it's decent. But if you can use other data sources and you can use other data providers, or not just that, just like even relevant triggers, such as like they're hiring for a certain role, or they recently got funded, or they use certain type of technology, or you're able to scrape someone's LinkedIn competitor profile. You can, if you and you get the data that way. If you can essentially frame it in a way that your lead list format, or the way you build your leads isn't just you just go on Apollo and you just scrape something and then you just send it out. If you can say different ways of, I guess, lead list scraping, and find different ways to use your to scrape leads, whether that be the intent way, which is like funding, or they're hiring for a role, or they use a technology, or you scrape the competitors' LinkedIn, whatever it may be, you will stand out because everybody else is, again, they're just going to Apollo, they're just going through industry, putting in job titles, scraping the leads, which does work. I'm not saying it doesn't work. It definitely does work. But if you want to stand out, like actually stand out and have killer campaigns, then you need to be able to do things and say things even that other people aren't doing, right? So that's pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. To give you kind of like a summary of how this all ties in, is follow the spam guidelines and make sure your copy sounds human while also saying stuff other people can't. I can't emphasize this enough. Follow the spam guidelines. Make sure you are conservative with your copy. You don't say some crazy stuff. You keep it short, brief, conversational, and simple. And then you also say stuff that people can't by using AI, and you also sound like a human. Anyways, I hope you found this video valuable. Please press like and subscribe for more content like this. And if you want someone to help you with your cold emails and so that you can still book meetings in 2025, press that link below and we can book a time to chat. Thank you.